Hey, what's going on, guys? We're live here, and I'm gonna go. It's my first time doing this, so I'm gonna head over to YouTube, which I think where most of you guys will be, and see if I can see some comments. I think I've enabled the comments so you can comment and we can talk amongst each other here. Talk a little bit about baseball. I don't really have anything planned, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. We can kind of just wing it like that. Let me see. I gotta find these comments. Where are you guys at? Chat. I see a chat. YouTube. I think I'm doing that right. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? I don't know where you guys are at. I'm trying to find this chat room. There we go. All right. If you're in here, type something. I'm trying to find your comments here. All right. Well, I guess Dom is in here. He's a smart one. He commented on Facebook. I can't see your comments anywhere here, but I'm getting the comments on Facebook, so I can answer them through there if that works. But Dom asked, "What is a good workout routine to increase arm strength?" That's a great question. For arm strength, basic uh, exercises that I like to have all my pitchers doing is obviously the rubber bands. You can find them at Walmart, Target. They're pretty cheap. And the routine that I like my guys going through is I take them through some Ys. First of all, we always start in a good body position, and we go through. These are called Ys, and then Ts, and then Ms, and then we're going to do internal rotation and external rotation coming out, as well as some goalposts coming back. And then we'll turn around and do some triceps. And we can use that as a warm up before we're throwing, and also as an exercise routine to strengthen your arm. Now, with that being said, that's probably the most basic, way to strengthen your arm up. I think even more important than that is going to be working on your core and your midsection, doing a lot of med ball stuff for your core and feeling that extension that you're creating. And when you have stronger legs and a stronger core, it makes it easier on your arm for throwing. Some other things you can do for strengthening your arm is they've got these mini med balls, and you can take them and you can do external rotation throws where you're holding onto the ball and throwing it backwards to a wall. Those are great, as well as some light dumbbells. I used to do 3-pound dumbbells and just do flies, side flies, front flies, 45 degrees with the thumbs up, in and out, external, internal rotation, windshield wiper. This one burns right here. If you come here, make your arms like an L, keep them 90 degrees, nice and slow, and doing windshield wipers. And then as well as bent over rows. So those are some basic things that you can do for increasing arm strength. Again, like I said, more important than that is going to be focusing on your legs and your core, and then doing those little things for your arms to maintain the stability, the strength and the structure in there so you can throw faster. But that's a great question. I'm still looking for your comments in here. I really don't know. I can see there's a bunch of handful of people in here. Let me see if I can find that. You guys seeing comments anywhere? I'm not. Let me see if I can type a comment here. Can you see my comments? There we go. All right, let me know if you can see that. This is the first time I ever did this, so I heard another Facebook message, but nothing on here. Let me check what Facebook is saying. I don't see it. Maybe I should have did a little more studying on how this thing works here. Dom, what's up, Dom? Where'd you comment? What are some good workouts to explode off of your back foot? Okay, great. Another great question, Dom. When it comes, what I like to think about, and I'm assuming you're talking about pitching here. What I like to think about when it comes to driving off the back leg is you don't want to be too fast too early. Meaning if you try to push too hard off of your back leg too early and you just get up on that rubber, get to your load, and then just try to jump off there as hard as you can, that's kind of like if you're in a car and you just slam on the gas all the way down. You're going to spin out. And when you do that on the pitching mound, you're going to leave everything behind. You're going to leave your arm behind. You're not going to be fluid, and you're not going to have that efficient energy transfer. So the way I like to think about getting a good drive off my back leg is start creating an angle, okay? So your first step is to get to a good load. Let me stand up here. See if you can see me. So the first step is to get to a good load here, and I want to create an angle, meaning keeping my knee inside of my back foot right here. So that's going to start everything. So once I create that angle, my next thing I want to think about is riding that angle down that mound a little bit. So I'm still not really driving yet off of that back leg. So I create my angle in my load, then I kind of ride it, and I get faster as I go down the mound. So I'm here, and I'm riding it. Obviously, I'm still in the air here. And then maybe halfway down that mound, or when my leg overtakes my butt, that's when I'm going to really start driving off of that back leg. And when you get to that point, you really want to drive closed as long as you can. And then, of course, that knee's going to come in, and you're going to finish that drive off of the inside part of your foot there. Now, with that being said, you've got to be under control when you do this, because if you're getting too far out in front, that's not going to be good either. But if you're pushing too late, that's not going to be good either, okay? So it's a feel thing, and you got to feel how your body connects to each other as you're driving down that mound. Now, your question specifically was, how can you increase that, I think you said. What are some good workouts to explode off your back foot? Okay. I hope you're talking about pitching here. I love the King of the Hill pitcher's drive. It's kind of like if you ever seen the pitcher's power drive, I like that one too, because that helps you create the angle. When you stand on that pitcher's power drive and it clicks down, that's creating the angle. So it kind of helps you, or puts you in, I don't know if it helps you, it puts you into that angle that I was talking about. So creating the angle, then riding the angle, and then driving through it at the end. So there's another one that's similar to the pitcher's power drive called the King of the Hill, but this one is flat. So the pitcher has to create his own angle. And that's what I really like about that. So he has to create his own angle. He has to ride it and get some leverage. So he's really got to lead with his butt, because if he kind of just floats down that mound leading here, he's not going to have any leverage on his back foot, or being able to use that to create some ground force back there. So he has to drive and push off of that to get that full extension, that full leg drive out in front. So I really like the pitcher's King of the Hill. I like the King of the Hill a little bit better than the pitcher's power drive, but both can definitely help you for sure. But to increase that, my number one favorite exercise is going to be skaters, okay? Skaters are just when you're jumping side to side as far as you can, staying inside of your feet. So it's going to look a little something like this. I'm not going to be able to do it in here. I don't have enough space. But I'll show you a little modified version. So I'm just going to keep my feet inside of my knees, and I'm going to be jumping back and forth. So I'm going to land here, catch myself, and jump back and forth. But I'm going to be going a lot further, okay? I'm going to be going as far as I can and keeping my knees inside of my feet. I'm never going to get up and over and balanced. I'm going to stay inside of my feet and drive this way and then drive this way, and that's really going to help with that leg drive. So that's a great question. Very good. Of course, lunges and things like that are going to be great as well for working on, you know, leg strength and being stronger. But here we go. We got another question. What should happen first? Planting my front foot, then hip rotation? Wait, I'm reading this wrong. Planting my front foot, then hip rotation, or hip rotation, then front foot? It's going to happen, if we're talking about pitching, it's going to happen just before your foot lands. Let me see. Did I read that question right? What should happen first? Planting my front foot, then hip rotation, or hip rotation, then front foot? It's gonna you're gonna open your front. You're gonna open your hips just before your foot lands. Now, with that being said, there's a great video. I don't remember the title of it or the or whose channel it's on, but it's about spinal engine mechanics and how it works with hitting and pitching. And I was arguing a little bit with the guy at first, but then he made some good points about how that works. And as far as timing wise goes, you know, I believed then and still believe now that your hip is going to open up a little bit before your front foot lands. But what's going to happen is when you go to, let's say we're pitching, okay? So when you go to land, you can't, obviously if you land first, you're going to be landed closed. You don't want to land closed when you're pitching, but you want to stay closed as long as you can. Close, 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 and then open up at the last second. So when you open up, that's going to start opening up here, and the hips are going to start to open up, okay? Same thing goes with hitting. With hitting, you're going to be closed off, close, 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 and then if you landed right here, you're going to be closed off. You're going to be in a straight line when you're hitting. And guys who are fully closed off like that can put a lot of tension on that knee, especially if they're generating a lot of energy this way. So the foot is going to open up a little bit right before it lands, right here, okay? I used to say 45 degrees, but I think a little bit more than 45 degrees open. Can you see my foot? A little bit more than 45 degrees open is okay. And what you want to do is put your abs on the ball. I call them body eyes. So your back knee, your belly button, and your neck on that ball when you go to hit, okay? For pitching, it's a little bit different. You want to get that hip to shoulder separation. So when that hip is open, you want to keep that. How far can you keep that shoulder back while your belly is pointing towards home? So I hope that answers your question. That was another good question. I wish I could see your comments. All I'm seeing is Dom's on Facebook, but thanks for the questions, Dom. If I can clarify anything, let me know, please. I got some questions here on my phone too, since I can't see your questions. I'm gonna pull one from here. Let's see. How do you get recruited to a West Coast school, even if you live on the East Coast? Okay, that's a good question. That's from Chance. Chance, the main thing is exposure. You can get exposure many different ways. You can play in tournaments, and you know it's about being in the right place at the right time. As far as exposure goes, you know, if you're got the scouts out there from a West Coast school and you have a horrible game, the chances of you going to a West Coast school are probably not going to be that good. But if you're doing well when you're out there in front of a West Coast school, then you got a good chance of possibly getting recruited by them. Now, with that being said, obviously West Coast schools aren't going to come all the way to the East Coast all the time to recruit. So another way you could do that is by traveling to some showcases over there on the West Coast. Obviously, that's going to get a little bit expense. It's going to cost a lot of money to do that. You got your travel and then your expenses for the showcases or camps that you're going to over there. So that's going to be expensive. And then you've got another route that's becoming more popular these days, and it's these recruiting services. Now, these recruiting services will take your video, edit it, put it on their website, and then blast it out by email. But they're going to charge you like $1,000 or more for some of these services are. So, you know, this can be very costly as well. So you have to be aware and you have to study, because there's probably 100 different businesses now that do this with the recruiting. So you have to go through and pick wisely. I got a friend, Mitch Canham, and he's got a company now. It's a really good one because they're doing the work. They're not just blasting you out to schools, emails. They're calling the coaches on your behalf. They're analyzing your skills and saying, okay, you want to go to West Coast? Well, this is where we see you. You know, you could probably play D1 on the West Coast. Or they may say, hey, listen, I know you want to play D1 on the West Coast, but to be honest with you, you're more like a D2 player. We're going to try to connect you with some D2 coaches. So his website is called Base by Pros. Definitely check them out because he's more person to person. Like, he's not just blasting out emails out there. So talk to him, look it over. Like I said, though, check it out, look it over. You know, you don't want to just go into something and hope it works out, because a lot of those companies, they're just blasting those emails out there, and you know you're not getting your money's worth as far as exposure is. You might even be better off to go out there and travel and do some of the showcases out there. So, all right, we got another question on the Facebook. Let's see. My son Dominic wants to know, what is the best bat to use in USSSA or Pony League baseball? That's a good question. A lot of my guys, the last few years, I'd say probably the last 3 years, have been coming in with the Eastons. Last year, the Mako was real popular, and a lot of kids came in with that. But what I noticed is a lot of those guys that went to the Mako stuck with the Mako for a little bit, but then went back to the black and yellow one. I forget what it's called. It's like the S1 or the S2 or the XL or something like that. But all these guys, they switched over to the Makos and stuff, and almost all of them at some point in time went back to the black and yellow one. So that seems to be the trend, at least in my area. is that these guys are like in the Easton, the black and yellow. I think they're the S1, S2 XL bats, and you just got to look. There are different barrel sizes for each one, so you got to look and see which one is legal for that league. But at least that's what it seems like the kids like to swing around here. They've got another company that's big in softball. They're called Rip It, but they just came out with a 2014 bat that's supposedly really good. So you might want to check them out too. That's called Rip It. Other than that, I mean, you know, there's obviously a bunch of different companies to choose from, but it seems like these last few years, Easton is just taking the lead on those. So I hope that helps. Hope that answered your question. Please explain your draft experience and what emotions you had that day. Okay. So it's a pretty funny story. I was still up in school at Auburn the day of the draft, and because we had to have a meeting that morning with the coaches, like an exit meeting, because we had just finished our season. We went to the super regionals or whatever it was. So we had to meet with the coaches in the morning before we could leave. So I met with the coaches at like 7, 8 in the morning. And then I hopped in I already had all my stuff packed up, and I hopped in the car, and I had about a 7-hour drive home. So I'm driving from Alabama back down to Central Florida. And my agent, well, he wasn't my agent because you're not allowed to have an agent at the time, but he was my advisor is what they call him. At the time was saying that I was slotted to go between the 5th and the 7th round. So I had a pretty good idea where I was going to get drafted. And so I was driving home. I'm driving home, you know, first round goes by. My dad was at home listening to it on the radio. So he would call, you know, after every round, hey, first round, you know, you didn't get drafted. And I'd say, what a bunch of idiots. They don't know what they're missing. You know, and we laugh for a little bit, hang up. And then, you know, he called back after the second round. Hey, nothing, blah, blah, blah. All right. So it's going on like that. I'm driving. I'm getting closer and closer. Next thing you know, 5th round comes. So now I'm like, all right, this is where I'm slotted, 5th to 7th round. So now I'm getting excited. You know, I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm driving a little faster. I didn't mean to, but you definitely felt the nerves going through my body. And so 5th round ends, nothing. He calls me, hey, nothing. I was like, all right, you know what? We still got 6th and 7th round, no problem. So I keep driving, nothing. 6th round, nothing. 7th round, nothing. So now I'm freaking out. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What happened? What's going on? You know, did I do something wrong? I don't remember. You know, I'm freaking out. Like, am I going to get drafted? Was this all a dream? I don't know what's going on. So now I'm flying home. I'm trying to get home as fast as I can. And I walk in the door and I see my dad's face, and he's like, no, nothing yet, you know? And I'm like, dang, what's going on? And my friend was there too, hanging out with my father at the time. And so I walk into the living room, and I wasn't home for a minute, 1 minute. And the next thing you know is, I hear him saying, you know, San Diego Padres take John Madden, 8th round, whatever pick, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we start freaking out and everything. Oh. And so my mother was working that day. So we went over. She was a waitress. So we went over to her restaurant where she was at. We went over there and had some lunch and celebrated a little bit. But it was a fun experience, fun moment. And then from there, I had to talk to the guy who drafted me, the scout who drafted me, to negotiate a signing bonus and a contract and all that stuff. So I let my agent do that. But then I had to get on a plane shortly after that, maybe I want to say like 2-3 days after that. And then we went to mini camp, which was like 4 or 5 days in Arizona, before they shipped us out to the team we're going to play, you know, that we were going to play on. And I went to short season A that year. So, but it was a pretty fun experience. I didn't have a baseball family, so I didn't know what I was getting into. I never had anyone get drafted before me. All I heard, you know, was rumors before, like, oh, he got drafted and he got $1 million. And, you know, all this stuff. I didn't know. I thought you got drafted and you went to it was single A, double A, and triple A, and big leagues. But there's actually 7 levels of the minor leagues before you get to the big leagues, which is, I didn't know that, which was crazy when I got in there. I was like, dang, I got a long road ahead of me here. But it was a great experience. Met a lot of cool guys, and yeah, it was fun. Definitely an emotional day going through the draft process for sure. But thank you for that question. That was great. What else do we got here? Let me check the phone. If you guys got any more questions, I can't see you guys. We got a bunch of people in here now, but I can't see your comments anywhere. So the best thing to do, if you're following me on Facebook, is ask your questions on Facebook, or just reply to the email that I sent out earlier. But get me somewhere else, because I can't see your comments where we're at right now. I got one right here. Struggling with hitting. Seem to open early and start leaning forward when swinging. Would like to improve speed, throw harder with pitching. I'm 14 years old. Okay. Seem to open early and start leaning towards when swinging. So one of the biggest things I see with young hitters when they're leaning forward this way is their front leg is usually collapsing a little bit. So they're not hitting against their front leg. So what I would suggest to this young man, and if you're in here listening, watching, is when you're hitting against your front leg, when you land, you're going to be a little bit bent and open, okay? But when your hands start to come through, you want to hit against that front leg. So watch my front knee as I start my swing. Now what happens is, if you let this keep collapsing, because you do want to go towards that ball, you want to go towards that ball with this chest. But if you just keep going and let this leg stay bent, you're going to keep going, right? And this is going to collapse. You're going to go through. Your upper body's going to be forward. The second reason that you could be pushing yourself forward is your back leg could be getting too straight. So I see a lot of guys is they almost push and extend their back leg this way, which pushes their hips up and pushes their upper body forward. So in your back leg, you really want to think driving that thing in. So start in a good position. Keep your knees knocked in inside of your feet. And then when you go to swing, drive this thing in deep here. Because if you're just going, you're pushing everything forward. Really think driving this thing deep, and then hit off of a good strong front leg. And that's going to give you that good line up your front leg all the way up your body through your head. Okay? I've got a few videos I could send to you that might be helpful for you to watch. But that's a great question. Let's see. I think I got another one on the YouTube. Do you still keep in touch with the scout that scouted you? No, I don't. I haven't talked to him since I left playing that day. I'm seeing some more comments on the Facebook. Tony, I'm seeing your questions. Sorry, I just got to those. Let's see what we got on the old phone. Did you guys have a happy Thanksgiving? Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I did. I'm still eating leftovers. Tony, which player in the majors do you think has the best swing to emulate? Okay. That's a really good question. Really good question. I like this question a lot. I'm a little bit biased right now. I've been talking with Josh Donaldson the last few days. And I don't know if you guys saw, he's going to the Blue Jays now. Got traded to the Blue Jays. But we've been talking. He had that big rant on Twitter about hitting. So we've been talking a little bit about it and about some of the mechanics of it. and I really like what he has to say. And obviously, he's got a really good swing. He crushes the ball, kills the ball. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for necessarily a younger athlete, but a guy who has good control of his body and who's a strong athlete who wants to practice a more advanced swing, I would definitely say Josh Donaldson, because he just generates so much energy, but he's under control when he's doing so for the most part. And I like everything he does. I'm making a video coming up. Right now it's called the 28 Things Josh Donaldson Taught Me About Hitting. But when it's all said and done, it might be the 30-something things Josh Donaldson taught me about hitting. But I love his swing. So he's a great one to emulate. Like I said, maybe not for a younger athlete, but for a more advanced, maybe a high school age guy who has that body control and has that strength to perform those movements properly. And even a younger guy, if he can perform the movements properly and have good timing and control with it, then go for it. Yeah, I really like that. But I don't know if you guys saw the video I did about the one-part swing versus two-part swing and the stride. Obviously, he has a one-part swing stride, and I recommended that. As far as mental approach, I really liked Hunter Pence this postseason. I mean, I sitting in my living room, I could feel his energy and his focus. Like, you could tell he was so focused. Now, he doesn't have the best swing in the world, but he was ready to get the job done. You can't even explain it. He was just so into it that he made things happen. And he took some ugly swings, some very ugly swings, but he was so focused that he got the job done. So I really like, his mental approach. And I think that's another big topic. We can talk for a whole another hour about the mental side of the game and how undervalued it is, especially for the younger athletes. I think too much of the time we spend on mechanics and physical things, when really, if we focus more on the mental aspect of the game, it would show us 10 times more improvement. And I think that's a big misconception in the game today, in today's day and age, especially for the younger athletes. These great players just have a impeccable mindset, and a lot of the time that's what's getting the job done. The rest of the stuff, the mechanical stuff, the work out there is all feel. They're coming off of feel. What feels right to them. If they're making adjustments, they're going off of feel. All right. To list available comments, enter /question. Is that all I had to do this whole time to see your questions? Hold on, let me see. Display a list of command descriptions and usages. Go to. What do I have to do to get scouted by a major league team? Well, first of all, you got to be balling. You got to ball out. You got to do your thing on the field. You can't fake it till you make it. Obviously, at the end of the day, to get to pro baseball, you have to have the skills to get there. Now, if you're a guy who's on the fringe, where you're good enough, you have the tools, you have the ability, and you're doing your thing, but you're just not getting the exposure. Maybe you're at a smaller school. Then there's some things you can do. They've got open tryouts. If you go to MLB.com, they've got tryouts for different MLB teams throughout the year. A lot of them are in the summer, but some of them are throughout the year. And you can look at those and see where they're at and go there. Most of them are free too. So that's a great way for, to get out there. If you're that guy, you're on the fringe where you're just not getting the exposure, like you have the tools, but you're not getting the exposure. That's a great way to do it. Obviously, at the end of the day, it depends on, are you a pro caliber player? Okay. So if you got that checked off, you say, yes, I'm a pro caliber player. I've got what it takes. I've got all the tools. I just need the exposure. Then go ahead and look at some of those tryouts because, at the end of the day, you got to be seen to get scouted, to play in the league, play in the game. Let's see. See if I got another. Who was your MLB role model when you were a kid? Now I'm getting text messages. I'm getting Facebook messages. I promise I'm going to study next time and figure out how to do this thing so I can see your comments. But I'm getting texts. I'm getting Facebook messages. I'm getting comments. I'm getting tweets. But we're just rolling with it. We're just rolling with it. Who was your MLB role model when you were a kid? Man, that's a great question. I was a Mets fan. I liked Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden. I liked Mark McGwire as I got a little bit older. Trying to think who was my favorite player growing. I guess it had to be Doc Gooden. That was when I was really young. I must have been maybe 5, 6 years old then. But yeah, to be honest, I wasn't a huge baseball fan growing up, so I didn't know like all the stats and all the players and all this stuff. I just knew the big name guys and followed those guys. But I definitely was a pitchers fan. I always liked pitchers. I remember loving Randy Johnson, like just amazed at how big he was and the way he threw the ball. David Wells. I just remember being a pitchers fan, and I didn't even like pitching at the time. If I could go back and do it again, I would be a position player. I wanted to be a position player. They just never let me. They never let me do it. I stunk in the field, and I had a good arm, so I ended up being a pitcher. But I always grew up liking the pitchers. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Let's see what we got here. Let's look on the Twitter. I haven't looked on the Twitter yet. What kind of questions we're getting over here? All right. Any ideas on a glove I should get for pitching? Let's see. I've had a few different gloves over the years. I had Rawlings. I really like Rawlings. I don't think you can go wrong with the Rawlings. You got the Heart of the Hide or the Pro Preferred. Or if you want to ball out, they got the Primo. I heard they got a new one coming out too, or it just came out. But, you can't go wrong with let's see. Try mute. Sorry. You can't go wrong with a Rawlings. Someone's telling me how to fix this fix my computer so I can see your comments. Let me try this real quick. Can't go wrong with the Rawlings though. I had TPX one year. That was okay. I had the Rico glove. A lot of you guys saw the Rico glove. That was a good glove. But I'm a fan of the Rawlings. I'm a big fan of the Rawlings. So can't go wrong there. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna try to figure this thing out on the YouTube. Try muting your computer and logging on to YouTube separate from your broadcasts, as if you were watching it, and you'll see the comments. Try muting your computer. Mute. Excuse me. I'm gonna mute. Okay. Logging on to YouTube. Give me 1 second here. Get this straightened out so I can see everybody's comments. I'm on YouTube, but I don't see it. Let me log out and log back in. I don't know if I want to do that. I might end the broadcast. Let's see. Sign out. Sign in. You guys still there, or did I hang up the phone call? Let's see here. Hey, can you guys see me? I'm trying to be back here. Hold on. Can you see me? Looks like I'm live here. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know what the heck happened. All right. What were we talking about? Gloves. Sorry about that. I see a lot of you guys left. Oh man, I'm gonna learn how to do this next time. I promise. I promise you. So what else? What else we want to talk about? Let's see. I'm gonna get another question here from the email. I don't want to talk about trades. As an 11-year-old or 12-year-old player, how often should I practice pitching per week, and how many pitches should I throw every time I pitch? Great question. MLB and USA Baseball came together recently and made a resource about pitching and how much you should be pitching. Now, I made a video about this also, so you can check my channel. But I believe off the top of my head, for an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old, you should not be throwing any more than 80 innings in a 12-month calendar year. So that means if you're pitching, if you're playing 2 different seasons, you also need to have 4 months off. 2 to 3 of those months need to be consecutive. Okay. So if you're throwing, that would be 4 months off. So basically you have 8 months to throw 80 innings. That would be 10 innings a month it would come down to. So a lot of you guys might be over pitching, especially at that age. So just be careful. Focus more on, body control and controlling your body and getting stronger and the mental part of the game as you're younger, and then you can increase your innings as you're getting older. But that's a great question. I think a lot of kids these days pitch too much. So if you're breaking it down 8 months of the year for 80 innings, that's 10. That's right? My math is good. 10 innings a month. So if you're throwing on the weekends, 6 innings a weekend, that's 6, 12, 18, 24 innings. You could do that, but then you got to shut it down a little bit earlier. Okay. Great question right there. Great question. Let's see here. Also, let me get the first one. How can you add velocity but also have control? Good question. Also, how can I pitch 4 innings but not have a sour arm? I'm pretty sure you mean sore arm. With pitching every 2 weeks. So you're pitching once every 2 weeks. Basically, you got to be prepared to pitch what you're going to be pitching. So if you go out there and you haven't practiced or you haven't built your arm up to throw for a month, and then you go out there and you throw 4 innings, you're going to be sore no matter what. You know what I'm saying? That's like going into the gym and lifting a whole bunch of weights after you haven't done anything for a couple months. You're going to be sore as crazy for the next few days. Same thing goes with pitching. If you just hop out there, you haven't been pitching, or you haven't been pitching a lot, and then you go out there and you pitch, you're going to be sore so much, right? So you have to prepare yourself to be able to pitch that much. Okay, so always being prepared to pitch as much as you're going to be. That's going to help with the soreness. And preparation is also going to help with the added velocity. A lot of guys want to throw harder, but they're not working to throw harder. They're not following any progression to try to throw harder. Okay, with that being said, I think the hips and the core and the legs have a lot to do with velocity, just as the arm does. Everyone wants to know how to get a faster arm and pitch faster. But a lot of the times, if you focus more on your legs and your core, you're going to see a bigger increase automatically, instantly, than you would just worrying about your arm in the beginning. I hope that makes sense. But good question. So be prepared. Prepare yourself. Work on it. Let's see here. I think we got a couple more Facebook questions. Where's my Facebook at? Here it is. Thought we had some. Yeah, we do. Here we go. I saw your video on stop playing baseball. How long is too long being off? My son Dominic plays winter, spring, fall, off during summer due to heat in Arizona. Is this enough? That goes back to, I don't know what Dominic is doing, but if he's pitching, that goes back to the Pitch Smart resource, having 4 months off of the year off, 4 months of the year off, 2 to 3 being consecutive. Now, if he's playing in the field, he could probably get away with a little bit more. But just make sure, just pay attention to him. If he's looking burned out and feeling burned out, you'll be able to tell. Talk to him. You want it at that age. You want it to be fun for him. You don't want it to be a job. You want it to be a game, something that he loves to play, so that he can continue to play it and have fun with it. You don't want him to burn out too early and not want to play the game because he just hates being out there. So, but just keep an eye on him. High school or travel ball? If you have to pick one, if you're going to pick one, you go travel ball. But with that being said, it goes back to the whole thing of, are we playing too much? Are you playing on 3 different travel teams, or are you playing on a travel team in the fall and the winter, or fall and the summer? Excuse me. I definitely think travel ball is the way to get recruited. High school now, to me, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or anything, but the way it looks to me, the way that things are going, is the high school teams are more of like the little league team now. All the good players from an area, let's say you've got 6 high schools in an area, all the best players from those teams are going to get onto a good travel team, and then they're going to go to tournaments, and they're going to get a lot of exposure because of all the talent that's on that team. So if you're on that team, you're going to get a ton more exposure than you would if you were just on your mediocre high school team. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of great high schools out there, a lot of great high school coaches out there. So like I said, I don't want to hurt anyone's feeling. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would definitely choose travel ball, but not overdoing it or not being crazy with it, because sometimes travel ball gets crazy, and it has to be the right travel ball team. It has to be a travel ball team that is professionally coached, not coached by a parent, and you're going to all the right tournaments, and it's being managed right. Because if not, then you're just playing on another high school or lower level team. So great question. Let's see what we got here on the Facebook. All right. Go back to the email. Got everybody on the Facebook caught up to speed. Got any drills or good workouts for increasing bat speed? Thanks. Yes. Okay, bat speed. They did a study a while ago about over-under training. And what they found in the study was that if you swing a 20% heavier bat than your normal bat. And then also a 20% under bat, you can increase your bat speed that way. So basically, if you had let's say you're swinging a 30-ounce bat, so a 33-30, right? 20% of 30 would be 6 ounces. Okay. So that means if you could get your hands on a 36-ounce bat or just a 6-ounce donut, okay, because now you put your donut on, now you got a 36-ounce bat. And then also a 24-ounce bat, because that's 6 ounces lower. Then what you would do is swing your heavy bat as fast as you can with good mechanics. Then you would go to your normal bat and swing it as fast as you can with good mechanics, and then go to your lighter bat and swing it as fast as you can with good mechanics. What I like my guys to do is to start on their knee, on their back knee, and do that, 10 of each, then stand up and do 10 of each regular swings. We're just doing dry swings, not hitting anything. And then at the end, we're going to do Happy Gilmore's, where we're walking through it and then doing 10 of each. And that has been proven to increase bat speed. Now, other than that, I just like my guys to swing aggressively as if they were in the game. So if I'm throwing BP to them and I see them just trying to, go nice and easy, or they're getting a little tired, we may take a little bit of a break, but I really want them attacking that ball and trying to drive it, because the more you swing aggressively in game speed situations, the stronger you're going to get, the more bat speed you're going to have. But try that over under training. See how that helps you. I think that'll help a lot. That's a great question. Great question. All right, I'm going to do a couple more questions here and then head out. I got a date on the couch out there I got to catch. Let's see. If primary sport is baseball, would playing basketball have an adverse on baseball techniques? No. I think playing other sports, especially at the young age, is awesome. Now, football, I don't know. I mean, I played football when I was younger, and I'm okay. I came out all right, I think. I don't know. But, I see a lot of guys that get messed up, get really hurt in football. But basketball, soccer, any of the other sports. Now, I would say golf. Maybe I'd stay away from golf just because of the swing. But as far as other techniques related to baseball, man, basketball would be awesome. Working on, staying low, being fast, first step movement, lateral movement, side to side, jumping, explosion. They said there's a lot of studies showing that their velocity is directly related to vertical jump and, all that first step fast movement. And you get a lot of that from basketball. I played basketball all the way through high school, and it was great because I felt in such great shape body-wise for baseball. The only downfall for me was my arm was never ready for baseball right after basketball season, because basketball season would end and baseball season would start in high school, at least in Florida for us. So I'd have like a week to get my arm ready, which is definitely not enough time. Looking back on it, I should have been throwing and getting prepared myself for baseball. But either way, it put me in great shape body-wise coming into the baseball season. I really think that was one of the reasons why I was able to throw as fast as I was able to throw. So, great question. Play other sports if you're young. Play them all. Play them all. Let's see here. What else we got? How can I add velocity but still have control? I think we talked about that already. I'm a lefty catcher, and I'm having trouble finding a chest protector that is modeled for a lefty thrower. Any suggestions? Unfortunately, being a lefty catcher is not not usually what happens. So that's like being a lefty shortstop. So I don't know what to tell you. You're going to eventually grow out of the position. And as far as finding a chest protector that is made that way, I don't know if they even have them. So they may have them in smaller versions. I don't even know if companies would make them, just because there's not a whole bunch of guys who are doing it. What is a good routine to have while you're on deck waiting to rake? Very nice. I like that question and the way you put that. And this is from Corey, who made me end the broadcast earlier. I'm just kidding. It all worked out. We're back. We're live. Next time I'll know what the hell I'm doing, so I don't cut it out on you guys. And I can see your comments. Anyway, that's a great question. What is a good routine to have while you're on deck waiting to rake? Okay, so first thing you want to do is, when you're in the hole, you want to grab your bat, get your stuff ready, get your mind ready. And the very first thing you want to do is take a deep breath, as deep as you can, into your belly, all the way down. And when you do it, you want to keep your chin up and you want to stand up tall. You want to like stand on your toes, okay? All the way down into your belly. All right. Then you want to, when you get on deck, you're going to go up there and you're going to visualize. You're going to take a few swings, obviously, to get your body loose. But then you're going to visualize your best hit ever, okay? So you're going to keep your eyes open when you're on deck, and you're going to be timing the pitcher. But you can do all this simultaneously and visualize, while your eyes are open, seeing the best hit you ever had, whether it was a home run or whatever it was. Imagine that same guy pitching, see the ball come in, and that's the warm-up swing I want you to take, okay? So you're going to take a few of those, imagining the best swing you ever had, and then you're going to get into the box, and you're going to take another deep breath right before you get in, as you're digging in with your back foot. Deep breath, and get in there. And then your thought process should be, while you're in there, see the ball, hit the ball, okay? You shouldn't be over-analyzing while you're in the box. Now, let's say the pitcher throws a first pitch strike, and you take it. Okay, you step back. You take a second to think of the situation. You get your thoughts going there. And then when you go back in the box, deep breath, out, and then you're thinking, see the ball, hit the ball, once you already came up with your approach there. So I got that, by the way, from Dr. Tom Hansen, and it's in his book, Play Big, which is an awesome book. So if you're a baseball player, you got to check out that book. It's called Play Big by Dr. Tom Hansen. And it talks about that pre-at-bat routines, how to play big. The book is called Play Big. So it's about how to play big. And he talks about ABCs of baseball: act big, breathe big, and commit big. And it's an awesome book, easy to read. So definitely check that out for sure. Great question. Great question. Sorry, I missed it on having velocity, but still with control. Please go over it. Okay, so control. For pitching control, 4 things you want to do for having better pitching control. And I think we're going to end on this question. Sorry, guys. Next time I'll learn how to do this and it'll run a lot smoother. But for better pitching accuracy, there's 4 things you want to have. First is consistency, right? You want to be consistent as possible on the mound with your mechanics, so that you're as consistent as possible in the strike zone or where you're trying to throw that pitch. The second thing you want to have is conviction. And conviction is just having the belief in that pitch, like truly believing that you're about to throw a strike or about to hit the catcher's glove exactly where he is. And you know it. So you're not thinking, oh, I hope I don't walk him here, or, oh, I hope he doesn't get a hit right here. No, instead of thinking that way, you're thinking, I'm about to throw a strike right here. I'm about to put it right by this guy. I'm about to hit the catcher's glove. So that's having the conviction, the belief behind the pitch, versus thinking the other way. The next thing is going to be visualization. And we talked about it in the on-deck circle, but you can do this while you're pitching as well. And visualize just before you go to pitch. So you're up on the mound, you're here, deep breath, and then take a quick second to visualize the pitch going in. Let's say you're throwing a curveball or something. See it. See the ball moving before you go to throw it. And you got your eyes open. You just imagine it happen before it happens. And then you go right into it and try to repeat. Sounds crazy, but it works. I promise you. And then the last thing is body control. You got to have good body control. And how do you have good body control? You do the work off the field. You do the exercise, you do your abs, you do your legs. If you're stable in your body and you're flexible, then you're going to be able to have good body control, and you're going to be able to be more consistent. So then we come full circle again, and now we've got these 4 things to have better pitching accuracy. Okay, so it's consistency, conviction, visualization, and body control. So you work on your body control off the field, visualization, conviction, believe in yourself, and the consistency. So great question. Great question. Now, to throw harder within that, you do all the stuff that you need to do to throw harder. If you missed it, watch this thing back over again. We talked about it. Okay. But great. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I kind of just winged this thing earlier today. I was like, man, I haven't done a video in a while. Let's do a little hangout. Do a little Google Hangout, but I didn't do any research on it. So I'm sorry. I promise we'll do it again maybe next week if you want to. What do you think? You guys want to do it? Leave me a message somewhere and let me know if you want to do this again next week. We'll do it again. And I'll be ready to answer more questions, and I'll be able to see your comments. Hopefully I'll figure it out by then. So again, thank you very much, guys. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Thanks. Let's see if I can end this thing now.